A trip down south to face off against the #1 football team in the country, a historical streak concluded, and all 5 fall season sports in action over the weekend. I'm Gia Motyl, and this is For the Glory.
800 student athletes, 29 teams, 1 pride, wearing the blue and white, all for the glory of Old State. This is your weekly roar on GoPSUSports.com.
Hello to all the blue and white fans around the world, and thank you for joining us for this edition of For the Glory. I'm Gia Motyl for GoPSUSports.com. Let's jump right into some Penn State football. Their second game of the season, which took place Saturday night, prime time on ESPN versus the #1 ranked team in the country, the Crimson Tide of Alabama. A few weeks ago, Penn State opened its 124th season and 50th year in Beaver Stadium with a 44-14 win over Youngstown State. Highlighting the victory was the record-setting performance by true freshman quarterback Rob Bolden, who completed 20 out of 29 passes for 239 yards and 2 touchdowns. After delivering the best passing performance by a Nittany Lion true freshman starter in program history, Bolden earned Big Ten Co-Freshman of the Week honors. Senior wide receiver and co-captain Brett Brackett broke career highs with 8 receptions for 98 yards, including 20 and 22-yard scoring strikes from Bolden. Led by senior linebacker Chris Colasanti's career-high 13 tackles, the Nittany Lions defense limited Youngstown State to 75 yards on the ground as the Penguins became the 17th consecutive Penn State opponent to not have a 100-yard rusher. Penn State's trip to Tuscaloosa is the 13th game in head coach Joe Paterno's career where he and the Nittany Lions have faced the top team in the land. Penn State is 7-2 in its last 9 games versus SEC teams, dating back to the 9-0 win against Alabama in 1990. 7 of the 9 SEC teams were ranked in the top 20. Unfortunately, the Nittany Lions did not leave Tuscaloosa with the win and dropped their first road contest of the year with a 24-3 final score. True freshman quarterback Rob Bolden engineered multiple drives into the red zone, but altogether only came away with 1 drive for points. The 12-play, 52-yard drive was capped by a 36-yard field goal. A key connection on 4th down between Bolden and Derek Moy put the Lions deep inside Tide territory. Wagner then booted the 36-yard field goal through the uprights to make it 24-3. Wagner is now 4-4 on field goal attempts this season. It was the first time Penn State was held without a touchdown since a 14-9 loss at Wisconsin in 2007. Senior tailback Evan Royster entered the Alabama game with 2,958 rushing yards, needing 42 yards to become the 6th Nittany Lion to gain 3,000 career yards. Royster finished with just 32 yards on 9 carries and remains 10 yards shy of 3,000 for his career. Following the Alabama game, Penn State will return home to host Kent State on Saturday. Kickoff is set for 12 p.m. at Beaver Stadium and will be broadcast to national television audience on ESPN or ESPN2. Tickets for the Kent State game can be purchased at GoPSUSports.com or by calling 814-865-5555, weekdays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We'll return in a minute and recap 3 seasons of domination by the Penn State women's volleyball team. Also, we'll check in with both soccer teams and how they fared over the weekend. This is For the Glory, brought to you by GoPSUSports.com, the official home for Penn State sports.
You're watching For the Glory on GoPSUSports.com.
Welcome back to For the Glory. Almost 3 years to the day, the Penn State women's volleyball team lost a 5-set match to Stanford on September 15, 2007 in the Yale Classic. After 3 storybook seasons, Penn State's record-breaking 109 match winning streak came to an end Saturday night with a loss to number 2 Stanford at the Nike Big Four Classic hosted in Gainesville, Florida. During the streak, Penn State lost just 19 sets. Penn State won a record-breaking 111 straight sets from the final set of the 2007 National Championship match against Stanford to the 3rd set of the 2008 NCAA National Semifinal against Nebraska. Also, Penn State won an NCAA Best 55 straight road matches and was not outblocked for 68 consecutive matches. Seniors Blair Brown and Ariel Wilson were honored on the Nike Big Four Classic All-Tournament team. Brown led the Nittany Lions with 11 kills, while freshmen Gia Motyl and Wilson tied with 5 apiece. McClendon led the team with 6 digs, and Wilson had a team-best 2 blocks. Penn State returns to Rec Hall on Friday for a 7 p.m. matchup with George Washington in the Rockville Outlets Classic. The Nittany Lions host Princeton and St. John's on Saturday. Ticket and promotions information can be found on gopsusports.com. Penn State men's soccer opened their 2010 home season against Bucknell on Friday evening at Jeffrey Field in the annual Penn State Classic. Penn State fought back strong in an attempt to tie the game, earning excellent scoring chances in the final minutes, but the Nittany Lions dropped a spirited 2-1 decision to the Bison. The setback was PSU's first regular season home defeat since September 28, 2008. Let's check in with Sophia Perri, who covered the Nittany Lions at Jeffrey Field on Sunday.
I'm Sophia Perri here for GoPSUSports.com. Today on Jeffrey Field, the Penn State Nittany Lions beat the Binghamton Bearcats 4-3 in their second and final game of the Penn State Classic. Penn State is now 3-1 so far this season. Today's matchup against the Bearcats proved to be nothing short of an exciting victory for the Nittany Lions. Penn State freshman Jordan Tyler scored 2 goals today, giving him 3 goals in his first 4 halves here at Jeffrey Field. Binghamton then came up with a quick goal, making it 2-1 at the half. At the start of the second half, Corey Herzog came up aggressive in the fast break, but after 2 unanswered goals from the Bearcats, Herzog scored his 5th goal of the season from midfield, winning the game for the Nittany Lions, the final score 4-3.
The Nittany Lions will return to the road next weekend, traveling west for a pair contest in the state of Colorado. On Friday, Penn State will take on Air Force, and for the first time ever, clash with Denver on Sunday. Stay logged on to GoPSUSports.com throughout the weekend to follow the Nittany Lions on their trip to Colorado. Penn State women's soccer has endured many early season heartbreaking endings. Head coach Erica Walsh has scheduled another tough slate against the best competition in the country. The Nittany Lions opened their season with an overtime win at West Virginia, 2 overtime ties in one day, a double overtime loss, and 5 straight losses, with 4 away from Happy Valley and 4 out of 5 games coming up short by 1 goal. The Penn State women's soccer team traveled to Oregon this past weekend to participate in the Nike Portland Classic. Their opening match on Friday night was against Washington. An early goal by the Huskies set the tone as Penn State could never recover in a 2-1 loss at Merlo Field Friday afternoon. Maya Hayes tallied her first career goal in the 83rd minute and is the 3rd freshman to score this season. Penn State finishes stay in Oregon with a Sunday matchup against number 4 Portland. The women's soccer team put together a gusty performance at Merlo Field on Sunday, taking 2 leads over Portland. Ultimately, it wasn't enough as Penn State lost 4-2 in front of 3,138 fans. Taylor Schramm and Christine Nairn scored the Nittany Lions 2 goals for their second and first goals of the season, respectively. Penn State suffered a significant loss late in the game when Central defender and Canadian national team member Lexi Martin collided with a Portland attacker, injuring her knee. Her status is unknown at this time. Penn State returns home for a Wednesday night matchup with local rival Bucknell. Game time at Jeffrey Field is set for 7 p.m. as Penn State Athletics will celebrate Heroes Night honoring military personnel as well as police forces and firefighters. When we return, we'll catch up with Nittany Lions field hockey squad and their Sunday matchup against interstate rival Lock Haven. This is For the Glory, brought to you by GoPSUSports.com. Check out the exclusive Penn State sports auctions with prizes ranging from a press box experience to this Saturday's football game, lead the famous Penn State Blue Band on their march to Beaver Stadium, or a game-worn Penn State football jersey. GoPSUSports.com auctions are a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for any fan who bleeds blue and white.
You're watching For the Glory on GoPSUSports.com.
Welcome back to For the Glory. The Penn State field hockey team started off their 2010 campaign with a competitive schedule against Old Dominion and Virginia at home and an early season test on the road at Connecticut, combining for a 1-2 record. After a 9-day layoff, Penn State took on their backyard rival, the Lock Haven Eagles, on Sunday afternoon at Penn State Field Hockey Complex. The Nittany Lions worked back to a .500 record with a final score of 3-1. Let's go to Gabby Shirley with more on yesterday's victory.
After losing a close game against UConn on the road more than 1 week ago, the Lady Lions returned home to face Lock Haven University. They defeated the Lady Eagles 3-1 today. In the first half, the Nittany Lions started off strong with a goal by freshman midfielder Brittany Griswax. They headed into the locker room with the game tied at 1-1. Determined not to let another game slip away, the Nittany Lions capitalized on a penalty stroke by number 1 Jessica Longstreth. They continued to execute impressive passing plays, which eventually led to a third goal by freshman midfielder Lauren Purvis. It was her first goal of the season. For GoPSUSports.com, I'm Gabrielle Shirley.
Penn State is back in action on Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. against Lafayette at home and then hit the road to take on Temple and Westchester in the Delaware Valley this weekend. If you can't make it to the game on Wednesday, you can follow the stats and scores on Game Tracker exclusively on GoPSUSports.com. Penn State Cross Country hosted the Harry Groves Spiked Shoe Invitational this past weekend at the Penn State Blue and White golf courses, with the women's team earning 3rd place and the men's squad earning 4th place. I got a chance to meet up with Coach Sullivan after the meet.
I think we had a really good day. We ended up 3rd on the women's side and 4th on the men's side. This was an early season competition for us, and we're running against our NCAA regional teams. And both on the men and the women, the teams that beat us were national powerhouses last year. And so we felt we held our own today. It was early. We held a couple out on both squads. On the men, we held out a front runner for us, and we held out a young lady on the women's side. So we think we've got more. It's early season. Like I said, we're training very, very heavy miles right now and hard work and not real fresh. And so we think we've got a very good start to the season. We're really looking like we have a team that's going to be a contender at the national championships. Our goal is to be in the top 15 at the nationals, and I think right now we're moving in that direction closely.
Penn State Cross Country will take next weekend off before heading to the Roy Griak Invitational at the University of Minnesota on Saturday, September 25th. The Penn State golf teams were in fall season action this weekend. After the first round of its opening tournament of the season, the Penn State women's golf team is currently in a tie for 7th place out of 21 teams at the Cougar Classic hosted by the College of Charleston in Hanahan, South Carolina. The Cougar Classic will continue with the second round on Monday, and the third and final round will be played on Tuesday. The Penn State men's golf team wrapped up its first fall season tournament Sunday, finishing in 12th place at the Wolf Run Intercollegiate. The Nittany Lion shot .298 in the final round, their best round of the weekend. Freshman Michael Miller finished on top for Penn State, tied for 6th place. Miller carded a 3-round total of .217. The Lions will jump back into action next weekend at the Maryland Intercollegiate, hosted by the University of Maryland.
You're watching For the Glory on GoPSUSports.com.
Penn State has a Lowe's Senior Class Award candidate in 4 fall sports: Andreas Casillas in men's soccer, Daniel Toney in women's soccer, Ariel Wilson in women's volleyball, and Stefan Wisniewski for football. To be eligible for the award, a student athlete must be classified as an NCAA Division I senior and have notable achievements in 4 areas of excellence: community, classroom, character, and competition. The winners will be announced later in December, and GoPSUSports.com will announce any Penn State players who are honored. Penn State fans, you can be connected with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week online, not only through GoPSUSports.com, but also through many social media networks such as Facebook and Twitter. Connect with us on Facebook by becoming a fan on Facebook.com/Penn State Nittany Lions. And for you tweeple, check out our Twitter section on GoPSUSports.com, listing our staff and coaches who you can follow, such as men's volleyball head coach Mark Pavlik, Athletics Communication Director Jeff Nelson, and Penn State Assistant Coach Jay Paterno. Send For the Glory a tweet at GoPSUSports1 and tell us what special features you'd like to see on our show. That's all for our show today, but tune in next week as we recap all of the Penn State teams in action. I'm Gia Motyl, and this is For the Glory.